Dee, let me fast forward now to what you're doing today with the NFL Players Association, a position you took in mid-March of 2009. And don't know at the time how much you knew of NFL players, but what personally have you learned in the past year and a half about the men who play the sport, and maybe even some things that the general fan wouldn't know about NFL players?
Two things. Leading into taking the job, it became an analysis of the business of football. That was the first step. Can you understand, break down, pull apart, analyze, critique the business of football, and then put it back together in a business model where not only our players can understand it, but also appreciate what the challenges are on the horizon. That was a fairly easy thing to do, given my background. When you push forward then and you meet the men and the families who make up this game, it's not only fantastic, but it's a true blessing to find athletes who are just like you. If I know our fans love our game, and I know that fans live and die for what happens on Sundays. But what you learn from the people who play the game is not only do they love it as much as our fans do, there isn't a day where they don't want to do the same thing. I mean, I've told them over and over and again, it's such a blessing to be able to play the game of boys as men. But right now, you're also a man, a businessman in the business of football. So I'm going to demand and expect that you are not only good players, but good husbands. I'm not going to just rest on the fact that some of you will be Hall of Fame players one day. I want you to be good men in your community. I want you to be financially secure when football is over. I want you to appreciate the risk that you're taking, and make sure that you hold both yourselves and, frankly, your employer accountable for the things that you do. You're fortunate enough to play a game on the highest stage, frankly, in the world. But that does not come without its own risk, its own obligations. I expect each of our men to meet them in the same way that they would meet anything else out on the field, with eyes wide open, head up, and accept the responsibility and the gifts that you have.
Final question, Dee. God has placed you in a tremendous, high-profile position of leadership. And I can recall our president, when we were in school, Dr. Paul Dixon, saying many times that Cedarville is preparing the next generation of leaders. What do you recall your experience at Cedarville? How did it prepare you to take you where you've been in the path of life and where you are today?
Well, you are in an environment that I think is special, given its relationship to faith and academics. You look at knowledge as knowing the facts. You look at things like understanding it and how to apply them. But it's truly a great institution that also teaches and provides a breeding ground for wisdom. Because wisdom are taking facts and understanding and knowing where to go with them. So, looking at my freshman year when I became class president, it was a look for a kid from the East Coast coming out here, being one of the few African Americans in my class. Running for that was a step for faith. Winning that was being in a position to understand God's grace and His ability to teach wisdom. Going into my senior year, running for student government president, again, was a great opportunity to learn facts and understand how to be a leader of students. But the lessons you take from being a student government president, again, provides you with a tremendous opportunity to cultivate wisdom. So stepping into this job, following a man named Gene Upshaw, who had this job for 26 years, walking into probably what is the most contentious labor fight between the players and the owners, really in the last 50 years. Nothing but a thing. It'll all work out.
Do you appreciate your time? Lord bless you as God continues to use you. And I know as a alum of Cedarville and as a former Yellow Jacket athlete, great to have you back on campus. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thrilled to be back. Thank you very much.
DeMaurice Smith, 1985 graduate of Cedarville and former Yellow Jacket track and field athlete, currently the executive director of the NFL Players Association, the 2010 Cedarville University Alumnus of the Year.